In today's mini episode, we're taking a look at the surprisingly helpful question of what we should be doing on our study breaks. Because as any long-term fans of sitcom Friends will know, what you do on a break matters. I've not watched a lot of Friends, but you don't grow up a child of the 90s and not know that reference. When we think about the breaks between our study blocks, it's not just about the dead time between work. Choosing the right break activities can help return us to work on time, ready to go again, and perhaps with some fresh insights and certainly some fresh energy. The wrong break activity, on the other hand, can end up sucking us into a dangerous spiral of procrastination that can turn a well-intentioned 10-minute breather into 50 minutes of doom scrolling. Now, one distraction-related question I wanted to tackle today is something that's come up a number of times with some of my coaching clients in recent months, and that is how to transition back from a break to study mode again. So, I mean, the little mini breaks you take between study blocks. I think most of us are in the habit of not kind of sitting at our desk for 3 hours straight. We divide up into study blocks of, half an hour, an hour, whatever works for you. And then we'll just have a little break, a little brain break in between those blocks of time. I think that's good practice. And the research would suggest we're not at our best if we're just sat chained to our desk for 4 or 5 hours straight. We need those little breaks. They're important. But a common pattern that many of us struggle with is what was supposed to be a short 5 or 10 minute reset quickly can balloon into 20 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes, an hour, or even longer. And then that eats into the rest of our work day and impacts our productivity for the day as a whole. And look, I'm certainly not immune to this challenge myself. I completely get the issue. So I wanted to share a few thoughts in today's episode to help with that. So let me set the scene. You know how it is. You take a break. You've been working hard for the first hour of the day. You pick up your phone that you've been working so hard not to be looking at the whole time. Or you flip on the TV or flop down on the bed, whatever it is. And then what was supposed to be that brain break for just 10 minutes, quickly turns into 40 minutes of doom scrolling. And now it's 22 minutes past 4, and you might as well just chill out for another 8 minutes and start at 4:30 precisely. And suddenly, 48 minutes have evaporated. So what can we do about it? Well, if you're following tools like the Pomodoro technique, the suggestion is here that you time your breaks. So you do a 5-minute or 10-minute timer between your Pomodoro sessions. And that ticking timer helps you measure the length of that break and make sure you get back to work on time. And for some people, I'm sure that is a perfectly valid solution that works just fine and gets the problem sorted out. Now, for me personally, I really don't like having a timer running when I'm on a break. It's like the least relaxing thing in the world. It feels like I'm constantly straining under the yoke of an oppressive master in this form of my clock. I psychologically need that clock to stop when it's time for a breather. That's kind of the point of taking a breather for me. So if a timer isn't the answer, then what is? Well, a mini or even not so mini breakthrough that some of my coaching clients have been having recently when we've been talking about this is thinking about what you actually do on your break. So we want to pick an activity that's not only restorative, but crucially is easy to put down. We can stop it. We're in control. No or very limited willpower needed when it's time to hit pause on that activity so we can then get back to work. So before we talk about what works, examples of highly hazardous break activities that can quickly lead us into trouble would be really anything that involves any kind of scrolling or feed type mechanic. So that's many of today's social media, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, anywhere where you're being shown suggestions designed to be as close to quite irresistibly compelling for you and your interests, such that you can't help check out the next one and keep going that bit longer. I think we'd also want to put warning signs around any form of media that is designed to be really kind of highly engaging. So gripping TV shows or films or even page-turning books, anywhere where you've got that potential to be really sucked into a story and not want to tear yourself away. Now, before I get accused of being the fun police today, I want to say, I'm not saying you're not allowed to do these things. Of course you are. What I'm saying is we want to distinguish between the things that are kind of safe, healthy brain break activities when we're just wanting that 5-10 minute break versus the things that we might choose to engage in when we've kind of got longer stretches of leisure time, maybe at the end of the day when the studying is done for the day, or on an evening off or a day off. Okay, so what then could we be thinking about doing instead? I'm going to share 10 of my favorite ideas today, fairly quick fire style. Okay, so here we go. In at number 10, if you must watch something, Choose to watch something that isn't too gripping, so something that's easy to put down. For me personally, I've been a big wildlife documentary fan my whole life, way back to my GCSE exams at school up until now. I find, 10 minutes of an Attenborough documentary a really reliable way to have a nice short break. I can be sure I can put it down. It's not going to be a problem to hit stop after just a short dose. In at number 9, if you're reading something, again, we want to choose something that's not too compelling. So not kind of the latest thriller that's, going to keep us page turning chapter after chapter. For me, again, I've dipped into Bill Bryson's travel writings as a pleasant 5-minute distraction for breaks over the years and enjoyed that. In at number 8, do chores. Fold a set of laundry, do a few dishes. It's a clearly defined task that's easy to stop after 10 minutes. In at number 7, meditate. So this isn't one I personally use, as I prefer to meditate in the mornings, almost as a brain warm-up for the day. But I do know people that have had good success with this as a break activity. A couple of creative ones next. So in at number 6, make music. So play through a piece or two on the piano or guitar or whatever you play, if you play. That can be a really nice thing to do if you're a musician of any kind. In at number 5, relatedly, arts and crafts. So do a quick sketch, a micro watercolor, or just knit for a few minutes. Nice things to do on a break. My next 3 are all quite movement oriented, as such a great way to not only take a break from studying, but also score some nice fitness points too. So in at number 4, workout. Do a few push-ups, squats, lifts, whatever you like to do, and maybe even a quick dance break to get the blood pumping if that's something you'd like to do. In at number 3, stretch. Do a short stretching routine or a 10-minute yoga sequence. And then in at number 2, my personal favorite way to move on a break, going for a quick walk. This is fantastic. Wakes your body and mind up and also gives you space to think, digest, reset and plan. And unlike some of the other recent options, you don't have to have any particular skills or kind of interests or even be particularly sporty. Let's face it, there's a lot of people that probably wouldn't choose to stick on a dance number and do a quick 5-minute dance around the living room. I know I wouldn't. Whereas the walk is kind of something that really is kind of pretty universal to almost anybody, I think. And there's some really nice research into the power of a walk to kind of help your mind think, and it's really kind of good for triggering creativity and helping you have fresh insights and join the dots. So I'd particularly recommend this one if you're hitting a bit of a roadblock, a setback, or a kind of creative or intellectual challenge in your studying of any kind, or from a kind of a different angle. It just feels like from an energy or like an emotion standpoint, you just feel like the day needs a bit of a reboot and a reset. A walk can often go a long way to giving that for us. And then finally, in at number 1, do nothing at all. Well, virtually nothing at all. But seriously, don't neglect the option of just doing nothing for a few minutes, or, what seems as close to nothing as we ever really get in our lives. If you're only wanting to do a break for just a short time, just a few minutes, I think nothing beats, in my view, just not planning to really do anything. You get up, you go refill your water, maybe put on the kettle, make a cup of tea, perhaps use the loo, stand up, move about. Perhaps you spend a few moments gazing out of the window, take a look at a detail in nature. There's some research on that as being a nice activity to do when you're on a break. So if you can see a tree or any foliage out of the window, or there's a little house plant somewhere, just take a few moments and kind of look at the foliage, try and look at the patterns, the colors, spend a few moments focusing on that. Nice way to kind of take your brain off things and give your brain a little reset. And then, there's nothing to even break away from. You've had a little break, you've had a little breather, and then you can return to your desk ready to go again. So that concludes the roundup of suggestions I've got for you today. As always, I want to invite you to reflect on what's going to work best for you as a break option between study blocks. Is it going to be getting moving, getting creative, engaging in some form of media that's not too unputdownable? What's going to be the best option for you? Perhaps you already do something from the list today, or perhaps after today you're inspired to try something. I'd love to hear what it is. Or perhaps there's something else that I haven't mentioned today that you find works really nicely for you. Whatever it is, I'd love to hear your feedback. Do pop that in the comments. I'd love to hear any extra ideas or your feedback, what you're going to try from this today. Thanks for tuning in today. Remember to like and share the episode if you've got value from it. If you haven't and you think it's a load of rubbish, I'd love to hear your feedback and what we could do better in the comments. I'm reading them actively as we're trying to grow our presence here on YouTube and bring some of our advice to a different platform, people that are watching here on YouTube. So thanks again for tuning into this video. If you've enjoyed it, remember to like and follow the channel for more great ideas to help you in your studies.